Anyway, I really appreciate you coming out for this.
Yeah, come on, man.
Anyway, I just got a couple of questions. So how did you end up joining Ghost Note initially?
Initially, Sput came out to a jam that I host in California, in Culver City. That's this bar called 77 Lounge. And this guy named Phil Lassiter introduced us.
Yeah.
And that night, I knew of Sput, but I didn't make a, face with the name. He came to me in an alley after the show and was just like, yo, I loved everything you do. I got a tour coming up with this band that I started. Do you want to go out on tour next week? And I was like, sure. And it was Ghost Note. Yeah, it was super spontaneous. So that's how I joined Ghost Note.
And when did this happen?
This was in 2000 and I want to say 16. Yeah, I want to say
Recent
16.
enough.
Yeah. It was the year Prince died because I played with Prince, and then when he passed away, I feel like that fall is when I joined Ghost Note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might say you played with Prince, and then that was kind of your transfer point.
Yeah.
Ghost Note was. So you went from playing with Prince straight to Ghost Note.
Yeah.
So were you tight with Mono Neon before then?
I was tight. I mean, me and Mono met when we were working with Prince together. We played on a couple of records together, and then the records Prince was producing for other people, we did, like Judith Hill and a couple other things. But yeah, I met Mono through Prince before we both met each other again through Ghost Note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you bumped into Robert C. right then, and he kind of brought you onto Ghost Note. Mm-hmm. How did you find the lockdown period?
How did I find it? I mean, I feel like it was necessary. To be honest, I know everyone hates it, and I know people have their reserves about it, but I honestly really, really do feel like it was necessary because everyone collectively was going through a period where they were more concerned about their character and their personality online than what they were person to person.
I get you. So people were more concerned with what they were projecting than what they actually were.
Yeah. And I feel like quarantine gave everyone a chance to kind of take a moment and recenter and refocus yourself in your immediate circle, whether that's being your family, your friends, strangers, work, whatever the fuck that is. Like, I really do feel like...
And who is that for you?
Who is what for me?
The people who you recalibrated with.
My family.
Yeah.
100%. My family and my bandmates and the people that I work with on a regular basis. Because it's so easy to overlook, people like that when you work with them every day and when you tour with them all the time and when you're around them all the time and you're going to every Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner with them and shit. Like, of course you're going to overlook
You become
them.
a family.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But there's those times in life when you're reminded of why people are in your life and why you love them and why they love you.
Yeah.
And I feel like quarantine was one of those moments, you know what I mean? For everyone across the fucking world.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Where you had to reevaluate who really fucked with you and who didn't. You know? And so that's how I feel about it.
No, massively. I mean, I was on my gap year when quarantine hit, and my mate who I'm here with at Ronnie's tonight is basically who stuck with me tight,
Yep.
And we had our whole thing going on, and while I was at uni, I was back at London quite a lot. I mean, I'm studying up at Leeds, and I came back to London, and we were always tight,
Yeah.
So we kind of always had that thing going on, and Ronnie's is kind of like our spiritual home where we kind of been back and forth to.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of finally return to. Like, do you have like a spiritual home kind of like that? Like back in America or the States, or like where you play a lot, like that's where you'd say is like your home, or not really? Are you constantly moving about?
So a spiritual home for me, that's a great fucking question. Wow.
Thank you. This is my third interview.
That's a great question. A spiritual home for me looks more like just being surrounded by people who understand who I really am and what I'm really about, and can look past all of their preconceived notions, about what's going on in my life.
So it's not what you're projecting, it's who you are, basically.
Yeah.
People who can perceive.
It's the cliche of home is where the heart is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, where my heart is with the people who understand me,
Yeah.
And I owe it to them because they understand me. And I know that might be weird and that might be like off-putting, but I really do owe it to people who understand me, because that's a luxury to be understood. There's so many fucking people traveling this world and like homeless people and people with mental illness who don't have the luxury of being understood.
There are times where you don't feel understood.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's a luxury to be understood. So home to me is around and surrounded by the people who understand me.
Where you feel grateful, really.
I absolutely
grateful for the people around
absolutely,
you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Massive. I fuck with that. Yeah.
Dope.
I got a couple people on this forum which I run, and this is kind of what I'm doing this for. And we haven't had many questions yet, but I just got a couple random ones here.
Okay.
Favorite interval?
Favorite interval, musically?
Musically.
From the 1 to the 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where does that influence come from?
Where does that come from? It's Prince.
Does that come from anyone? Or?
Prince.
Prince.
100%.
Prince is the influence for that.
1 to the 6. That's my favorite interval.
Nice.
Yep.
And another question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but any future collaborations with Lionel Lewis or JD Beck and Domi?
Yes.
Really? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I can confirm that.
Yep.
Is that been confirmed yet, or is this breaking news?
This is breaking news, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, breaking news, actually.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
That's all we've really had. Oh, hang on. What was it like working with Larry Goldings and Sko on the new Scary Goldings project?
That's Mono.
That's Mono.
That's not a question for me.
I'll have to ask him about that.
That's Mono Neon.
All right. And can you ask them who influenced Ghost Note most?
Can I ask them, Scary Pockets? Or Ghost Note?
I guess Ghost Note as a whole.
Who influenced Ghost Note most is definitely Prince, James Brown, Rick James, Keith Jarrett, Kenny Garrett, Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays for me.
Huh. You ever play with Pat Metheny?
I never did.
Would you like to? I take it.
Of course
yes.
I would.
Yeah.
Yes, of course I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Some more influences would be like Herbie Hancock, Quincy Jones, Toto.
Yeah.
To be honest, Steely Dan.
Really, who your band have already played with, or parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of like a conjoining of multiple projects.
Yes.
Really, and yeah, like a fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good wrap up for that. Yeah. Cheers. I really appreciate you doing this.